So, further graphs and locus. Before I launch into these three things, this topic, right, is part revision and part new stuff. Okay? The further graphs is really actually from the end of year 9, but because it's actually after the exam, so a lot of you won't have gotten there. Maybe you're too busy doing statistics and trying to wrap your head around standard deviation, that kind of thing. You can pronounce this locus if you want. I pronounce it locus because after this many years of teaching it, people think, huh, we're learning about insects that eat everything and look like grasshoppers? And I'm like, no, locus, okay? So you call it whatever you want. Right? So, to revise, because this is really the introduction to that. What are functions? What are functions? Functions are best understood in contrast to relations. Functions and relations. And I wonder if any of those words ring a bell. Okay? What's a function? It's a kind of rule, I'll write this down in a second. It's a kind of rule that for one input gives you one output. It's a kind of rule. So here's the way I think about it. You've got a box, which is a rule, okay? You put in one input, and you'll get out one output. That is a function. Okay? So, as an example, y equals x squared. That's a function. You put in any value for x, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, minus 100, and you'll get out one output, one value. Okay? So, let's think real world. What's an example of this? Let's think of currency conversion. Okay? So if you had a box, right, that could convert currency. Okay. Imagine it was a kind of currency converter that what it does is it spits out, it translates everything into Aussie dollars. Okay? So you can put in anything you like. You can put in yen, you can put in ringgit or renminbi or whatever you want, okay? And you get out what it is in our currency, okay? So the whole idea is any input you like, it'll just have, it's only going to be worth one particular value in Aussie dollars, okay? So if I went, I don't know, I think the conversion is something like, because I'm a legend, 3 ringgit is about 1 Aussie dollar, okay? So it's not like 3 ringgit could be one Aussie dollar, but sometimes 2 Aussie dollars. There's only one possibility that you're going to get out here, one output. By contrast, what's a relation? A relation. You've got, it's a rule in the same way, right? When you put an input into this rule, okay, the outputs you may get one output, but you may get more. Okay? So it could just be one, but there might be multiple ones as well. That's a relation. Okay, now, I picked y equals x squared as an example because I can pick up a relation off that just by reversing things, and that's going to be helpful for my example. So, if I take, just swapping it around, say x equals y squared. That's a relation, okay? How does it work? If I put in an input for x, right, like say 9, okay, my output will be not just 1, but there's 2 different options, right? Y can't just be one thing, it can be 3 or negative 3, right? So that's where you've got your more outputs. So as an example, right, coming back to this currency idea, suppose I reverse the question and say, I've got my currency converter, but instead of putting out Aussie dollars, what if I put in Aussie dollars? Okay, and try and get different currencies. So if I put in one as Aussie dollar and say, now, what's that equal to? Well, there's all different kinds of answers you could give me, right? You could say it's 3 ringgit, or you could say it's, what do we like with America? We're stronger than America, right? So maybe you get, I don't know, $1.20 US dollars, okay? So you can see I've got multiple different options here. That's what we mean by a relation, okay? What do these things look like? There's your, sorry, I missed. Use your imagination. That's a bad graph. There's your y equals x squared, and when you switch your values, right, you're turning it on its head. So one of the things you'll learn later when we look at inverse functions is, really easy way to tell which one it is, you can test it by putting a vertical line through it. Okay? If your vertical line just hits once, that corresponds to one output, that's a function. And here it hits twice, or sometimes it might hit multiple times, okay? So that's why it's a relation. Okay, so that's what functions are, really important to understand.